All right. Hello, everybody. and Thank you for being here tonight for the Plymouth City Council meeting, Thursday, June 25th. If I get a roll call.
Councilmember Bottomley, absent. Councilmember Cranford. Here. Councilmember Dell. Here. Vice Mayor Hornish.
Here.
Mayor Nunn.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
We all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So we're going to start with number 2, approval of City Council regular meeting agenda of June 25th, 2026.
So moved.
Second. Councilmember Cranford. Aye. Councilmember Dell. Aye. Vice Mayor Hornish.
Aye.
Mayor Nunn.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, we're going to go to public comment for items not on the agenda at this time. Anyone can speak on anything involving the city they wish to speak on. We just ask that you keep it, try and keep it at 3 minutes. Best you can. Rosemary.
Rosemary Marino Moody, Plymouth. I want to ask because Saturday evening, my family went to Folsom. And as we went past the two sewer plant areas, it smelled extremely strong. It was horrid. And that was about 5 o'clock. We came back at 9:30 and it was still just as bad. And on Sunday, it also did. So I'm wondering, in the view of transparency that this council says, are you going to tell the residents of Plymouth what happened, what caused that smell? Because obviously something didn't happen or something went wrong in order for that smell to show up for 2 days.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Next.
I was just gonna say, my daughter mentioned it as well, and I'm unaware. So I have not been told that anything happened, so I don't know either.
I had driven by there. There was something. I noticed a bit of a smell, and of course, the city manager being gone, I hadn't talked to him yet. See what's going on. I was kind of waiting to discuss that if you knew anything.
Mr. Mayor, this is the first I'm hearing about it, so I will definitely get an answer for you and Ms. Moreno Moody.
Thank you. So, John?
Microphone. There you go.
John Coburn, long-term person from, anyway, I wanted to thank you so much for putting the signs out for the 4th of July parade. Hopefully it's going to be a wonderful parade again this year. But we need some signage out for the fireworks also that I haven't seen a lot on that. So it would be nice if we could get some signs out in regards to the fireworks in the evening.
What are you requesting? I'm sorry.
What's that?
What are you requesting?
That we get some more signage out for the fireworks show.
Fireworks show? Sure. Any preference on where you would put them?
Probably where they have the ones for the parade in the roundabout, a prominent place.
All right, we'll pass it along. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else in the audience, or do we have anyone on Zoom? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, we're going to go ahead and close public comment at this time. Item 4, presentations, proclamations, and appointments is none tonight. So we move to consent calendar. Any correspondence on that? 5.1. I don't think there's anything. All right. Get approval of the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Cranford. Aye. Councilmember Dell. Aye. Vice Mayor Hornish.
Aye.
Mayor Nunn.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 6.1, public hearing, excuse me just a minute. It's so thick, I can't do anything with it tonight. All right. Public hearing on water and wastewater rate, review rate study and discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2026-12, updating the water and wastewater rates. Can we start with staff report?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. One moment. Can you hear me okay?
I believe so.
California Proposition 218 requires agencies to notify property owners and ratepayers of proposed changes to utility rates and to hold a public hearing prior to implementing any increases. The purpose of this process is to ensure transparency and allow for public participation. The city has also opted to utilize the exhaustion of administrative remedies procedure pursuant to Government Code Section 53759.1. Excuse me. The mailed notice included all information required. Water and wastewater systems are essentially services funded entirely by user rates. Periodic rate reviews and adjustments are necessary to ensure that revenues are sufficient to support operations, maintenance, and capital improvements, regulatory compliance, and long-term financial stability. The city's most recent rate study was completed in 2017, and rate adjustments were last adopted in 2011. Since that time, increases in operating costs, infrastructure needs, and regulatory requirements have impacted the city's utility funds. In partnership with city staff, MBS conducted comprehensive rate studies evaluating the city's water and wastewater enterprise funds. These studies reviewed current and projected operating expenses, capital improvement needs, reserve targets, and revenue requirements over a 5-year planning period. Key factors driving the proposed rate adjustments include aging infrastructure requiring rehabilitation and replacement, inflationary increases in labor, energy, and chemical costs, state and federal regulatory mandates, the need to replenish and maintain reserve levels and debt service coverage ratios. Council has been presented with the water and wastewater rate studies, ordered the required notices to be mailed, and will hold the required public hearing, including collection of protests. Objections were also solicited via the mailed notice, and none were received timely. If a majority protest is not received, staff is seeking approval to adopt the rates as presented in the rate notice and rate study report previously presented. Environmental determination. This is not a project under Section 15378 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines. And approval of the rate adjustments is necessary to ensure the financial health of the city's wastewater and water utilities. Without the adjustments, the city risks falling short of funding obligations for operation and capital projects. Mailing costs and consultant support for the Proposition 218 process are included in the current contract and will be paid for from the water and wastewater enterprise funds. Staff recommends that the city council hold a public hearing and call for any remaining protests to be submitted. Tabulate protests to determine if a majority protest exists. If no majority protests, adopt water and wastewater rates by resolution 2026 TAC 12. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. At this point, well, let's go to public comment on that.
Good evening, John Coburn again. I had the privilege of voting on this thing 4 times. 2 of them I asked to be taken off, but I think you got a legal problem here in that the notice that I got came out as a water user, went to my meter, and all the ones that I have seen went to the water, through the water users and the water meters. You have an ordinance in the city that requires that the obligation of the water bills is on has been deemed to the property owners, not the users. And that was done in order to recover water revenues when people move out and leave an abandoned bill. But what it has done is required that the property owners are the ones that are responsible entity that should have been noticed, and not the water users solely. I was, in my case, I have 2 meters on my property. And I only got one message for the one meter. I did turn in an objection for both meters because the family has the other meters. I have the signature ability on that one. But I think what you did here is not in compliance with what your ordinances are as far as what was the entity that's responsible for the water. And it's not the user, it's by your ordinance, it's the property owners. So I'm worried about the way this has gone about, in that you have noticed that if you're opposed to this, or write a note to the city, you did not send a form out with it. So everybody was responsible for their own form. And it's almost a Ponzi game, because the complacency of the public, not very many people are going to vote. And so if you go, I don't know how many percentage of vote you got in for it or against it, but if you get 40% against it and move forward, you're assuming that the other 60% are in favor of it. And that's not a proper assumption. If you just reverse the wording, that instead of send a letter in opposing it, if you had sent a letter in to appraise it and support it, excuse me. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, if they just reversed it and said, send a note in if you're in favor of it, you would have the opposite thing, because of complacency of the voting people. So I think that's a big mistake in not doing that. And the other thing is that we had, the fair has, in the summertime, they have an ADU for 2 months of about 250 ADUs. As far as I know, they got one vote in this thing. The same thing goes along with 49er Trailer Court. They have over 115 ADUs, and as far as I know, they got one vote. And to assume that the no votes mean that the ones that didn't vote are yes votes is somewhat of a Ponzi game. If I were to have 1,000 stocks and I wanted to sell out, and I sent letters out to 1,000 people, and 400 of them sent a letter back that they didn't want them, I could not assume that 600 of them did, and put out sold my 600 stocks and put billing out for it. I'd be before the Federal Trade Commission.
I think we
In
understand.
prison.
I think we understand what you're saying, John, on that. We're quite a ways over the time.
Okay.
Don't mind.
So I think what you're doing here is creating, correcting the housing shortage we have in town, because I've talked to
Right.
several seniors in our senior exercise class that love their gardens. And they said, when
Well, thank you.
water gets $250, they're
Right.
gonna have to move out.
Well, thank you. Anyone else? Next.
I just want to quote 4.3 in the packet. The NBS principal assumptions and considerations in preparing this report and the opinions and recommendations included herein. NBS has relied on several principal assumptions and considerations regarding financial matters, conditions, and events that may occur in the future. This information and these assumptions, including the city's budgets, capital improvement costs, customers account and consumption, and information from city staff, were provided by sources we believe to be reliable, although NBS has not independently verified this data. I mean, to me, you guys paid them almost $100,000 and they didn't verify this information is appalling to me. Especially since when I request data from the city, half the time it's not accurate. I have to go back and ask for other things. So I know that information is not always good. The other thing that is the salaries in here on the water and sewer are so high, and yet there is no explanation of where those salaries are being allotted from. And it almost sounds like you guys are just trying to get out from under. I understand there needs to be a rate increase. I just don't agree to the 100% rate increase over 5 years between the two of them. And I just feel that it's the ratepayers are basically paying for a city employee payroll just to help the city to keep going. And that's not right.
Thank you. See, we have Stephanie Marino online.
Yes, thank you. I submitted a objection in addition to a protest. I submitted it after the June 5th deadline that was in the notice, because quite honestly, I thought that was just a typo, like many of the typos that appear in city notices, and it should have said June 25th. Nevertheless, in spite of that, I don't think that it was legitimate to have the earlier date for objections in the notice, because the city manager said the city opted to utilize the exhaustion of administrative remedies procedure pursuant to Government Code Section 53759.1. However, the city did not opt into that. That was city staff did that, but the city council did not show in its minutes that it had opted into that procedure. Therefore, I believe I'm challenging the fact that that was properly opted into by the city council. I did submit a 4-page letter. Did you receive it?
Yes, we did. I was actually reading it a minute ago here.
Okay, I'd like to just really briefly say for the people that may not have that letter. One objection was that the administrative record does not demonstrate that all costs associated with the septic receiving program have been identified and allocated. It's unclear whether the rate study evaluated and allocated the costs associated with the increased sludge production, handling and disposal, increased equipment usage and wear, additional maintenance requirements, reduced useful life of treatment plant assets, additional capital replacement needs, regulatory compliance, admin and operational overhead, and other costs. And I'd like confirmation from the city council that they have indeed evaluated and allocated those costs. The record does not demonstrate that costs have been properly allocated between local ratepayers and commercial haulers. Essentially, we have haulers flocking to our city to take advantage of this low rate. That tells me that maybe our rate is lower because we haven't anticipated all the costs. It also means that the ratepayers are subsidizing those extra costs of that program for the benefit of the rate holders. And I don't think that's appropriate. And I'd like confirmation from the city council that that is not happening as part of this record tonight. The record doesn't demonstrate how repayment of the county advance funds of $150,000 for the Arroyo ditch have been accounted for in the water rate analysis. The city borrowed $150,000 from the county. The payments are supposed to start in July. The $150,000 is still sitting in the city's accounts. They never used it. They are using it for cash flow in violation of the contract with the county. And if they incorporated debt service for that $150,000 into the rates, then essentially the ratepayers are paying for debt service on a loan that was never used for the purpose intended. And it frees up $150,000 for the city to use for other things that aren't named in there. Again, at the expense of the ratepayers. And I'd like confirmation that the city has not incorporated that $150 loan payment into the rates. The public record doesn't demonstrate compliance with the Constitution. The current record does not provide sufficient information for the public to independently evaluate, because the report that the MBS prepared did not include any of the assumptions, the salary schedules, or anything, so that a member of the public could go back and determine how the analysis was conducted. I already talked about the reservation of procedural objections. I'm reserving my right to move forward with procedural violations and my notice of objection based on the fact the city did not properly opt into that process. It rather staff did it unilaterally. The notice was not in the packet, so there was no information provided to the public or the council that was going to happen. And then finally, just very quickly, one more thing that was not in the letter. At last year's budget hearing, Andy Heath said that the previous general fund subsidies that had offset rates for many years were a loan to the water and sewer fund, and that isn't correct. The city council had never voted to make that a loan. They had voted to subsidize those rates. I'd like to know if that quote unquote loan was included as a payback in the rates. I'd like the council to certify that that additional rate subsidies that were funded out of the general fund
Sure.
were not included in setting the rates. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
And I'd like answers to those, please, for the public record.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? No one online, no one in the audience. All right, at this point, we'll close public comment. City attorney or city manager would like to speak to any of these concerns. Oh, before we start, do want to say that, for transparency, we have 2 objection letters and I believe I'm told 44 protest letters that have come in. We're gonna go to,
I don't have anything. to
you
add.
have nothing. City manager have anything to add? Point.
Not necessarily. I mean, as far as the loan goes, the loan has been able to be paid for a while now. It's not included in this rate study. I mean, we're prepared to pay the loan right now. And we are. I've been working with the county on that. It should have been paid a long time ago and it just wasn't. So we're in default. So technically our payments don't start on July 1st. They're due by July 1st. But they weren't included in this rate study that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you. So council discussion, Wendy?
One of the main things that I heard tonight in public comment that is concerning to me is if people were noticed properly. Do you have any information on that? The ordinance. If what John is saying is correct, if users were notified versus property owners, that seems to be a problem, I would think.
I'll if I can let MBS address that.
I don't know if you can see us, they're talking about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is Alan High Street with NBS. I'm not sure who it got sent to. Typically, we send it to the account holder and the property owner. And that's why we want to have APNs and verify that we don't have 2 objections or 2 protests from the same property.
Said generally, but.
So John, you said you got 1 notice for 2 meters? Oh, so you got both, but you're the property owner and the user, so we don't know. Does anyone know of anybody who's a renter? I want to make sure that was done correctly, that people were notified correctly, but you're the owner and the. But you would only get 1 notice because you're both in that circumstance, so they wouldn't send you 2, would be my thinking. They would only send you 1. They were all sent based on the APN, is what I'm understanding. So you would have only gotten 1 because you are both the owner and the user. So I'm wondering if there's a renter who got a notice, and in addition, that property owner got a notice. Right.
So when we put the list together, when we look at the property owners and then who's actually paying the account, we would eliminate duplicates. So they would only get 1. But if somebody was a renter, then the property owner should have also gotten a notice.
Okay.
And that's why you check to make sure that there weren't 2 protests for the same
So there's an audit process involved to make sure that what we received in protest is correct and that what was sent out is correct. What, the notification that was sent out. Okay. Right,
Yes.
right, because they're on two different properties. Oh, it's only one APN? How do you have 2 meters on one APN? Hold on a second, let me look at yours. Somebody else can, while I'm looking at this, somebody else can comment if you want to.
I have nothing to add.
I just wanted to add that out of the 46 objections / protests votes that we got, I mean, I don't know how many total were sent out. And you were talking about a percentage, correct, John? I mean, I think it's a decent turnout, but it's nowhere near 40%. And I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yes.
It's less than 10%.
Well, yeah, less than 10%.
But you're assuming that 90% are favoring.
I'm not, so here's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming that most people don't want their water rate or sewer rates raised. That's my assumption. I don't want my sewer rate and water rate raised. I live here. I don't want to pay more. But I don't know what the answer is because we're paying people's water bills. So the way I've been thinking about it is if I owned a bread shop and I was selling bread and the people I get the bread from kept raising the rates of flour, but I didn't raise my rates, then I'm giving flour away, or I'm giving bread away. And now I'm not able to pay my bills and now I'm losing my home. So I don't want us to lose our home. That's what scares me. I don't know what the answer is. Nobody raised rates in this city for 15 years. And now this council is getting stuck with this. And it's horrible. Like, I don't want to be the person that raises water rates and sewer rates. Obviously, my predecessors didn't either. So now here I am on city council wondering what we do because I don't want us to lose our home. And that's what's going to happen because we can only go for so long paying everybody's bill and not recouping enough funds to make ends meet. And that's what's happening. I mean, I can only rely on people who have more expertise than I do to tell me things. People that have gone to college, gotten degrees in these things. So when our finance person tells us, hey, you're not even covering the costs, and in fact, you're in a huge deficit with your water and have been for however many years, and if you keep going at this rate, here's what's gonna happen. How do I just say, well, too bad? Like, I don't know the answer. I mean, I don't want to raise rates. None of us do, but I don't know what else to do.
I realize there's a crisis here. But the options really weren't brought to the public. I feel that we went from a wrecked car, not to a Chevy, but to a Lexus in 5 years. And we're gonna be running a lot of our seniors. We're gonna be losing people. And I think if we have some compassion, not try to do everything in such a short period of time. And but there was no alternatives sent out to the public. It was just yes or no.
The alternative would have been for all the previous city councils to have taken care of this so that we weren't in this situation where we have to raise rates this quickly. That would have been the alternative. So now here we are. And I hate to throw other council members under the bus. That's not what I'm trying to do, but that's the reality. That's the hand we've been dealt. And so had it slowly been marginally increased like other cities have done, we wouldn't be in this situation. But here we are.
And we did have prior discussions with NBS on different reports for the rate studies that gave us different options on how to raise them percentage-wise over the 5 years. And council came to the decision that is before us now.
And the other thing I want to say is we definitely have taken into account that there are going to be people who struggle with the rate increase. And I think that our city, there's nobody in this city hall that I am aware of that will not be compassionate towards that and help those people. We have already have what's the word? Low income like subsidy in place for people who struggle to meet their water bill. And I mean, we're a community, we're a family here, and I don't think there's a single person in this city hall that is gonna just be nasty to somebody because they can't pay their, like, we'll take all of that into account, and we have a program for that, for people who are low income, to your point about seniors and stuff.
Yeah, the concern I have is maybe we ought to be looking at other directions. It looks like nothing's ever gonna get any better with the water agency and their cost to us. And maybe we should take a close look at going back to a system that we had in-house in the past.
Maybe that's something we can do in the future, but at the moment, this is what we're facing.
I'm well aware of the problems in the past. I was on the council some 10 years ago and I'm maybe partly responsible for not laying out a better pathway, but I just don't believe that we can just shoot ourselves in the foot this way.
If I remember correctly, the option that we went with, it had the largest jump in the beginning, but overall it was not as expensive to the residents if we would have went to with one of the other options.
Yeah. That's right.
Robert Plymouth, a resident.
Where the public comment portion of,
I don't think we
oh,
ever
you were
actually,
asking John questions.
I don't think we ever actually
Well,
closed the public hearing, so
okay,
I think we
that's
should
fine.
give them a chance to speak.
All right, go ahead.
So I'll tell you what we see on the outside. And I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody. This has been going on for years and years. And the whole thing is we're firing people and hiring people and we're giving them raises. We're bringing them in at top-notch salary. I drive by the swimming pool the other day. We have 4 lifeguards out there and 1 family of swimmers. We see the maintenance guys, they're driving their vehicles home every night. With the gas prices high like this and everything, and then we're gonna eat it with our rate increase and everything when we can cut back on other stuff.
Right.
Since this is a public hearing and people are asking questions, should you not be answering those questions before you decide? I know Stephanie had some questions that definitely should be answered and, you know, I believe in that rate study, that 150,000 debt thing was in there. But Cameron said it wasn't part of this. But I really think that you should answer those questions before you just answer. I mean, this is a hearing. It's our right to come up, ask questions and get a response for this. If you guys don't have the response, that tells us you didn't do your homework or you just don't care.
Okay, and I think that we are trying to answer the questions and ask questions, so at this point, just formally again, I'll say that we're closing public comment. And Councilwoman still has the floor at this point. Nothing else to say, okay. Debbie, do you have anything to add right now?
No, nothing to add.
All right. Over. Okay, so I basically feel pretty much exactly as Councilwoman Cranford does, that none of us are happy about the situation. But we've also looked at it quite a while, and we feel like it's at this point, we have to do something. No matter what we do on this, nobody's happy that there are going to be rate increases. And it comes down to, it seems like everybody objects to how it's done or questions the way we did it, but they discuss that. But the fact is, we've hired a firm and who's are professionals at doing this, and I'm not sure what else besides, asking them to answer some of the questions that have been brought forward. I think that we did the best that we could on this, is my feeling. Can you speak to any more of these? You said you are verifying that the APNs against you came back.
Yeah, so the mailings were sent out to property owners and account holders, but again, we went through and didn't send duplicates, right, if it was the same
Yeah.
person. So that part is answered. The costs for the septage were in there, they were allocated. Obviously, the strength of septage is substantially higher, orders of magnitude higher than your other customers. That was factored in terms of the money we need to recover from septage that wouldn't be essentially paid for by the other users. So that cost allocation was done, and that's in the report. So, we've allocated those costs appropriately and in the method. All of these rate studies, there was a comment about some of our disclaimers. Anytime we do a rate study, we have to go to the accounting system of the agency we're working with for data. And we're not gonna go through, we don't know your system. We're not gonna sit out there. You can imagine what it would cost if we were gonna verify people on board, what their salaries, each line item. We're looking at your accounting records. We're putting those and we're allocating those costs. And so that's why we have that disclaimer in there. Your general manager has looked at, again, the septic costs. He feels comfortable that those costs are in there, and we've allocated those according to strength. So I think that has been answered. Is there anything I missed on the questions?
Can you speak to that $150,000
I can't
One
per
of the-
se.
you'd say that's not involved in the study, and we're hearing, like Ms. Marino is saying she thought it is. Our city manager, I think, has said it wasn't. Or she says he said he wasn't.
System, there was some debt service, and I'm not sure if that debt service was that loan repayment or what that tied to. But on sewer, there was no other capital in there, so.
And city manager's on, maybe he'll speak to that. I believe he said it's not part of it.
If I can clarify, Mr. Mayor, I don't have my notes. I'm trying to do the best I can in the position I'm in. Regardless whether it was included in the rate study or not, the city took out the loan 5 or 6 years ago from the county and has not paid it back, a dime of it, and they are collecting. And so it was taken out for water services. So if it was involved in this, then I can understand that. If it wasn't, I also can understand that. But regardless whether it was or not, the loan has to get paid back. And the city council at that time decided to take that money out. So I'd be more concerned with that than whether it was in the study or not.
And I would agree with that. I know a lot of cities are going through this right now. We're not the only ones, and yeah. I don't have any more to say on it. I think it's been said.
Can I make a motion?
Yeah, if you want to.
Make a motion.
there's the resolution to motion on, but
Yeah.
before we get to that, we should verify the number of protests we have. I don't think we received any more written protests during the meeting. You'll notice in the resolution, there's a blank, so we'll need to fill that in with 46. Since we received 44 protests plus the two untimely objections, which will count as protests as well.
Okay, so 46. And do we have the actual number of the ratepayers compared to the 40?
So for a successful challenge, we would have required 264 votes against the sewer increases and 287 votes against the water increases. That would have been represented the majority for each one of those enterprises.
Okay. Go with resolution. Where's my? All right, so it would be the resolution, so we still need a motion though on the, or do we just vote to approve or disapprove?
It would be a motion to approve resolution 2026-12.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-12, updating water and wastewater rates.
I'll second the motion.
Councilmember Cranford? Aye. Councilmember Dell?
Aye.
Councilmember Hornish?
Aye.
Mayor Nunn?
aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. We're gonna go.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make a historic information. The very water we're talking about back in 1981, I'm the one with Richard, I'm Myron Questo, where it's negotiated to purchase that water from PG&E 46 years ago.
Thank you,
The very water that we're using here now.
thank you. We're gonna move on to item 7, regular agenda items. Yeah. Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to item 7.1, discussion and possible action to approve First Amendment to the franchise agreement for solid waste collection, disposal, and recycling services. Can we get a staff report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. On May 14th, 2026, the City Council approved the proposal from Cal Waste Recovery Systems to provide solid waste collection services within the City of Plymouth. At the time of the proposal's review and approval, commercial rate information from the city's previous waste service provider was not available to Cal Waste. As a result, Cal Waste developed estimated commercial rates based on the information available during the proposal process. Since that time, Cal Waste has received the previous provider's commercial rate schedule and has completed a comprehensive review of the commercial accounts and associated service levels. Based on this review, Cal Waste has updated its commercial rate sheet to accurately reflect the commercial rates for the City of Plymouth. Consistent with the commitments made during the proposal process, Cal Waste has maintained its assurance to both the city and its customers that commercial service costs will not increase as a result of these adjustments. The revised rate schedule reflects updated account information while preserving the commitment to no rate increases for existing commercial customers. There is no further fiscal impact to the city associated with the approval of this updated commercial rate study. And staff recommends the City Council review, discuss, and approve the commercial solid waste rates proposed by Cal Waste Recovery Systems for the City of Plymouth, approving this First Amendment added as Exhibit A. Thank you.
And just one additional clarification or to highlight it, we're proposing to lower the commercial rates to reflect the rates that were previously in place for commercial accounts.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, we'll open it to public comment. Anyone for public comment on this? I see Stephanie Moreno has her hand raised online.
Thank you. Stephanie Moreno, Plymouth resident, small business owner. So what is not in the staff report that is in the resolution is that you accidentally adopted the wrong rates because you relied on the estimates provided by Cal Waste. And now that you're lowering it. So that's what my understanding is of reading the staff report and the resolution. My question is, it now is clear that staff did not confirm the rates before they gave them to you the first time to make sure they were the right rates. Has staff confirmed that these rates are correct based on what was in the Republic schedule? Because it's only saying that Cal Waste has assured us that these are now right. So I'd like confirmation from staff that they have verified that the rates are now correct. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I could address that.
Yes, please.
So we have confirmed, we've also included the proposed rates that, Republic was, doing it in the, or going to propose in the packet. We did work with Cal Waste. There was a lot of little additional charges that the previous provider was, adding to the bill. And that's kind of what took a little bit longer for them to, work through their costs, because they didn't want to necessarily add all those additional costs at the rate that our previous, provider was doing. So we have verified, we've gone over it multiple times, and we're confident in the numbers.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Public comment? All right, hearing, seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment on this. And we'll go to council discussion. Wendy, you have anything?
Yeah, it's semi-related. Well, it is related. So if you you want to check your previous bill from our previous provider, because if they owe you money, they actually are not just automatically sending a check to you. You have to call them and request it. They owed us $159 and I didn't receive a check, and I actually had to call them and request the refund. So just for public information, if you are owed money, please check and call them and tell them that.
Are you on autopay?
No.
I was on autopay and I got a automated
Refund?
refund. Yeah.
I was not on auto pay, so maybe that's why. I mean, I just went in and paid it every month, so just a FYI for people, I just want people to be aware of that. You might have some money owed to you and you're gonna need to contact them to collect it.
Well, thank you for letting people know that. I had saw online, it looked like it wasn't the same for everybody. Some people were having to call and request, and it seemed like some other people said that they got it refunded automatically. So maybe that's,
Maybe that's why,
Why?
is if if it was auto pay, then auto refunded.
okay. Debbie, anything on this?
No, nothing.
Holger? And I don't either. I think it's, honestly, I felt this one was kind of self-explanatory with what the city manager had said. I believe it is actually rates going down, from what we thought they were going to be on that. So I think we're looking at a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to approve the First Amendment to franchise agreement for, to the franchise agreement for solid waste collection, disposal, and recycling services.
Second.
Councilmember Cranford,
Aye.
Councilmember Dill,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hornish,
Aye.
Mayor Nunn.
All right.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to item 7.2, discussion and possible action to unfreeze one maintenance worker, one position for the city's Public Works Department. Staff report.
I apologize. Give me one moment. I think I skipped ahead. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As part of our fiscal year 2025-26 budget adopted September of 2025, one maintenance worker, one position was frozen as a cost-saving measure. At that time, the Public Works Department had reduced workload demands and implemented operational efficiencies that allowed services to be maintained with fewer personnel. Since the adoption of the budget, staff has continuously evaluated departmental operations, workload distribution, and staffing needs to ensure the efficient delivery of public works services. Through this ongoing evaluation process, it has become evident that additional field personnel are necessary to effectively meet operational demands and maintain service levels. Currently, the Public Works Superintendent position is vacant. To maintain continuity of operations, the maintenance lead worker is temporarily fulfilling the duties of the superintendent position while the city conducts an internal recruitment process. The position was posted internally on June 11th, 2025, or excuse me, 2026, in accordance with the city's personnel manual and the recruitment posting policy that was adopted on May 14th, 2026. Applications for the position are being accepted until today, June 25th, 2026. As staff has reviewed the department's organizational structure and operational needs, it has been determined that maintaining both a public works superintendent position and a maintenance lead worker position is not necessary. The supervisory and leadership functions can be effectively managed through the superintendent position without the need for a separate lead worker classification. The salary range for the maintenance lead worker position is $26.26 an hour to all the way to the top step of $34.22 per hour plus benefits. The salary range for a maintenance one worker position is $21.52 an hour, all the way up to $26.16 per hour plus benefits. By utilizing the salary savings generated from the maintenance lead worker position, the city can unfreeze and fill the maintenance worker one position with minimal budgetary impact. This staffing adjustment will provide additional personnel in the field to perform essential public work functions, respond to maintenance needs, and assist with the completion of ongoing and future public works projects. The addition of a maintenance worker one position will increase the department's operational capacity and improve service delivery by ensuring that more staff are available to perform maintenance, repairs, and project-related work throughout the city. The fiscal impact, the proposed staffing change can be accommodated through the salary savings associated with the maintenance lead worker position. The hourly salary range for the maintenance lead worker position or worker classification exceeds that of a maintenance worker one classification, resulting in sufficient savings to offset the cost of unfreezing and filling the maintenance worker one position. Therefore, no additional budget appropriation is requested at this time. And our recommendation is the city council unfreeze the maintenance worker one position to allow the city manager to hire for this position to enhance field operations and maintain service levels within the public works department. Funding for the position is already provided for in the city's budget and can be supported through salary savings resulting from the restructuring of supervisory responsibilities and the anticipated filling of the public works superintendent position. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one quick question and then I'll go to
Yes.
public. So when we did that budget, we agreed there was only going to be 5 positions. We were going to have 6, but one would be frozen. So we're unfreezing this one and you're saying we don't need a lead superintendent. So are we going to freeze? Because that's not here. Are we going to freeze the lead position to still keep us at 5 or how are we doing that? How are we going to address that?
My goal is to get another maintenance worker position in addition to the one I'm requesting today. I am good with freezing the maintenance lead position. We need bodies in the field, and we were pretty top heavy back in August when we had admin changes, and so we're just trying to put more boots on the ground with this. And so I'd be fine freezing the maintenance lead position, which we can address in our upcoming budget hearing.
Okay, thanks. I just needed a little clarification on that. So at this time, I'm going to open the floor to public comment on this. And I see online we have Stephanie Marino.
Thank you, Stephanie Moreno, Plymouth resident, small business owner. This is really confusing. One of the questions that you just asked was one of mine. It's talking about unfreezing a position, but not getting rid of the other one that he's talking about getting rid of. So he's ending up with an extra position if the city doesn't eliminate that at the same time. But I'm confused because I thought there were only 3 people in the field right now, your lead and 2 maintenance workers. Your lead and then Matt Senior, Matt Junior. Am I missing somebody? Is there a 4th person in the field that I'm forgetting?
No, Ms. Moreno, right now we do have 3, which includes our maintenance lead position.
Okay, so if you're going to unfreeze a maintenance and get rid of the lead, you still only have 3 in the field. So you're not adding additional personnel. If you're planning on promoting your lead to the superintendent position, which it looks like because you're doing an internal recruitment. So I'm confused, number one, why you're not getting rid of the maintenance position, the lead maintenance, if that's indeed what you're saying is the purpose for unfreezing. And number 2, how you're ending up with 5 when I'm only counting 4.
Right.
Thank you.
So we will ultimately freeze the maintenance lead position with this new budget. However, we do have posting requirements, and we didn't want to wait another 4 weeks before we could start reviewing applications for a maintenance one position. So if that was an oversight on my part, I do apologize, but we are not going to be filling this maintenance lead position. That's my promise to the council. And we will be freezing it with the upcoming budget or eliminating it completely.
Okay, thank you for that. At this time, anyone else?
Rosemary Marino Moody, Plymouth. I'm a little confused because during that budget hearing last year, you eliminated 3 public works positions. And I don't recall them freezing any of them. So if you unfreeze it, are you bringing back one of those people that you laid off? Because that's basically what you did. You didn't fund it and they got laid off. But the other question I have is, so now we're looking for a 3rd superintendent of maintenance in just over a year that this position has been part of the city of Plymouth. So obviously there's been issues why the last 2 are no longer here. You have another guy coming in and it looks to me like they're just pulling this internal thing, moving him up, eliminate the lead. So, I mean, it kind of forces you guys to approve this because they're going to move him up to supervisor, the superintendent. I mean, that's the writing on the wall with this backdoor thing. But my question is, being the problem that we've had with the superintendents not quite being up to the qualifications on the job description, is this 3rd guy that is applying, this acting superintendent, which I'm sure that's going to get the job. I mean, the writing's on the wall to us in the audience. Is he qualified? Does he have those qualifications? Or are we going to be revisiting this whole problem again in 6 more months? I mean, the city needs to hire some qualified people that can do the work, that knows the work, knows how to do the work. You can't just keep funneling people in that don't know how to do the work. So to me, it just seems like this is a backdoor agreement. And you guys, they already agreed this guy's going to get promoted and you guys are just pushing it right through the door. And because ultimately you approve this, you guys are eliminating the lead position. So either that guy gets fired or you promote him up.
If I may,
Go ahead, sir.
just a quick rebuttal to that, RJ. You were mentioning hiring somebody capable, right? Which usually comes with a higher price tag. And moments ago, nobody wants to pay more for something, including ourselves, to hire people, right? In that instance. And then number 2, I don't think it was any fault of our own that we were forced into this situation due to things that transpired for a person that made personal judgments and decisions, right? I kind of look at it this way, like if I'm hiring a company to put in sod in my backyard, I'm going to shop around, right? And while we have fixed hourly rates here, if I don't see the job performance as well done, I'm going to find somebody else, another company, if that makes sense. And sometimes you're forced into those changes, which we were. I don't want to have high turnover and start over and start over and start over. It's not toxic, but it's not, a benefit either. So, I mean, I'd rather not be in these shoes, but here we are. It's
Yeah,
what we're dealt.
if I could have it my way, Selby would still be alive, but he's not.
Okay, well, here's the deal. If someone's applying for the job, they're applying for that rate because they see it. So it has nothing to do, you can't get qualified people because of the rate. Did you guys go through the last superintendent's applications that were out? You're going to tell me none of those people were qualified? I mean, there's people that apply that live in the area. I mean, my husband's a great one too. It was good for him to take a job closer to home. It reduced travel time. It reduced our fuel expenses, etc. It reduced our health coverage. But yes, he took a pay cut to come work at the fairgrounds versus what he was making elsewhere. So there are people that will do that just for the fact to be close to home and working close to home. So I don't agree with that argument. We don't pay enough. There are people applying. There were people that applied for that superintendent job.
We lost Boone because of money. I mean, that's just how, it's just the truth. I agreed 100%, but people do that, right? You're in a lull, they accept a job and then they leave. That's not the city council's fault that occurred,
So
that Boone
I'd like
left.
For us to steer away from why people might have left employment with the city.
Yeah, exactly. Let's about that, but I was saying on the thing I'd like to address about what you said, is you asked if we look through these applications and what we do on this. It's not the place of the council to hire city employees. The council only hires one employee. That's the city manager. That's the only person in the city that works for this council. The rest of the employees work for the city manager. And it's the city manager's discretion, as long as he's following the city council policies that we put in place. It's his discretion, basically, who he hires and fires. We have any other public comment? Anyone? Nothing? All right. At this point, we're gonna close public comment and go to council discussion. Wendy?
So I don't see any end result numbers on here, and I want to make sure that if we made this move, it's saving the city money.
If I may, council member. I've gone over this with our finance department. Like I said, I was trying to get two. We wouldn't be able to fund two full-time maintenance one positions with the salary savings, but we definitely can cover the one.
So I want to apologize, first of all. I had to step out when some of the discussion was happening. I am on call with my job and that call was from the sheriff's department. So I apologize for that. So I may have missed this. So if I'm asking information that was already covered, I ask for some grace. So we're saying we're freezing, this lead position. And then having a superintendent and then hiring one additional maintenance worker or two?
One at this time. Once we get the final budget all kind of wrapped up, we'll see if we can get two, if not another part-timer, but we definitely are getting one. I'm requesting one.
So if we don't pass another maintenance worker in the budget, that ends us up with 4 total workers, correct?
Correct, which is the way we've been running for, pretty much since August, end of August.
Okay.
I might be able to clarify one thing for you and the public. I believe the situation, when we did the budget, we went from, there was a total of 9 people had been on payroll with Public Works at one point. We cut it down to 5 people last year, but we held the 6th position. We didn't take it out of the budget, we just froze it. Okay, so we were counting also the wastewater treatment plant operator as a Public Works person. So that gave us, that's what made the 5. And we recently replaced, we went away from that and we are contracting now with someone to provide that. So that person's under contract, not necessarily an employee that's doing that job there. So we could still, this would just put us back at the 4 people working in the city because we had someone leave in the superintendent spot. So if he hires one more maintenance one, we'll be at 4. We always have 4 out on the street. We had a 5th at the plant, but now that position's being filled by a contract.
Okay. Thank you for helping me remember that. Now that you said it, I do remember how we did that.
Okay, anything else, Wendy? You good? All right, Deborah?
You had asked my question about freezing the maintenance lead. So I don't have any other questions about the budget part of it.
Holger?
Cameron, are there any differences in benefits between the lead worker position and the maintenance one worker position?
Not as far as benefits, just pay scale.
Thank you.
Okay, I like the idea. I kind of agree that we don't need a lead and superintendent. So when the superintendent's out working in the field with them, everyone all day anyways, I think it saves the city money and makes sense. So I guess I'm looking for a motion here.
I'll motion to approve unfreezing one maintenance worker, one position for the city's public works department. That's all this says to do. Aren't we also saying to freeze?
We have to wait until the budget because that's not on the agenda.
Oh, I see.
But
But Cameron is saying he's not going to hire a lead.
no, we're not going to put in the budget. We're going to freeze the position. So the 5 of us would be freezing the position.
Maybe, right?
I would
Ma'am, will not be hiring for that position until after this budget. The reason why we just asked for the maintenance one worker now is so we don't have to wait another 4 weeks before we start reviewing applications. 2 weeks to the July 9th, hoping our budget passes. And then the 2 weeks that it would take for me to post the position and conduct interviews.
Okay, thank you. Do I need to re-say it? Okay.
No.
I'll second the motion.
Councilmember Cranford,
Aye.
Councilmember Dell,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hornish,
Aye.
Mayor Nunn.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. Item 7.3, approval of the Amador County Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Get a staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Amador County Community Wildfire Protection Plan is a countywide wildfire resilience and risk reduction strategy developed through a collaborative effort involving Amador County, the Amador Fire Safe Council, CAL FIRE, local fire protection agencies, the U.S. Forest Service, municipal governments, tribal partners, utility providers, and community stakeholders. The CWPP updates and consolidates previous wildfire planning efforts into a single comprehensive document that evaluates wildfire hazards, identifies community vulnerabilities, prioritizes fuel reduction projects, and establishes implementation strategies intended to reduce wildfire risk throughout Amador County. The plan was developed using extensive public outreach, community surveys, stakeholder engagement, wildfire modeling, and risk assessments to identify areas most vulnerable to wildfire impacts. The plan identifies several countywide priorities, including expansion of hazardous fuel reduction projects and shaded fuel break networks, improved emergency access and evacuation routes, enhanced emergency communications and water supply infrastructure, increased home hardening and defensible space efforts, greater interagency coordination and data sharing, ongoing public education and fire-wise community development, and long-term forest health and landscape resilience projects. Adoption of the CWPP demonstrates the city's commitment to wildfire preparedness and strengthens coordination with neighboring jurisdictions and partner agencies. Importantly, approval of the CWPP helps maintain eligibility for numerous state and federal grant programs that support wildfire prevention, forest health, emergency preparedness, and infrastructure improvements. Many grant programs administered through CAL FIRE, FEMA, and the U.S. Forest Service and other agencies prioritize or require consistency with an adopted community wildfire protection plan. The CWPP is a planning document and does not impose new regulatory requirements, land use restrictions, or direct financial obligations on the city. Rather, it provides a framework for future project development and funding opportunities. There is no immediate fiscal impact associated with adoption of the CWPP. Implementation of future projects identified within the plan will be considered separately and may be supported through state and federal grant funding. Our recommendation is the City Council review and consider adoption of the CWPP, a non-regulatory advisory plan, and authorizing the mayor to sign the CWPP. And if I may, I believe Todd Burtwell is on Zoom. He's been our contact regarding this plan, that he might be able to have some answers to some questions if I don't.
Okay, thank you for that. We will, actually, I have one for you first. When exactly did the plan get finalized, sent to us?
I think it's honestly, it's been in my email for a little bit. I just didn't get around to reviewing it until recently. But I couldn't tell you an exact date, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'm just curious because this thing's, the first I saw this was Monday night when I got my packet, and it's over 100 pages, and I'm not real comfortable voting on anything I haven't read through. So, guess we'll open to public comment.
Rosemary Marino Moody, Plymouth. While I was looking through all of this, and it is a very long document, the CWPP Working Group members and stakeholders for the city of Plymouth, it's listing Victoria as the city manager on it. So that needs to be corrected.
We saw that. There was actually, I found a few errors in there actually, and that's one of the reasons I would like to take some time and look at this. I understand we have a gentleman online, so we'll can ask him what our time frame is on this, but it's something that I'm probably gonna, I don't know how the other members feel, I'm probably gonna want to bring it back on the 9th, you know, but Stephanie Marino.
Yes, thank you. I submitted public comments this afternoon. Did you have a copy of those in front of you? And is there a copy for the public?
I apologize. I have it right here in my hand. I'm holding it, and I meant to say that when I started, that we would have received comment from you on that, so I apologize.
Okay, thank you. I want to read them into the record since the council has not been answering my questions. I also noted the typo on city manager versus city clerk. On page 26, I noticed another mistake. They put down the community of Plymouth is covered by the city of Plymouth contract. It's not the community of Plymouth, including unincorporated. It's the city of Plymouth, and that should be noted on page 26. That's rather a big deal. It may seem like a small typo, but it's AFPD is only representing the city of Plymouth on this contract. On page C3, key themes and observations from the supervisor district meetings were collated together as countywide comments with little differentiation as to the residency of those who provided comments. I encourage the city council to request that they be provided with notes of specific concerns expressed by their constituents, particularly from the meeting held at City Hall by Supervisor Onetto in November 2025, so that they have those as a reference for work on other programs and projects related to fire risk mitigation. On pages F22 and F23, there's a reference to the CAL FIRE Amador El Dorado unit consensus treatment areas. And if you go to the map that they have on the Fire Safe Council page, the Project Max referenced in here, you'll see this hatch mark even more prominently that overlays a majority of the city of Plymouth as a consensus treatment area. I do not remember a discussion of this consensus treatment area at an earlier city council meeting. I'd like an answer to what activities are proposed within this consensus treatment area for the city of Plymouth. How was consensus arrived at, and was the city of Plymouth involved in that consensus effort? On page F9, there's a map showing 10 project areas. On page G1, it's indicated that those 10 project areas are ranked in order of priority. And the area encompassing the city of Plymouth is project area 8 out of 10. Given that the city of Plymouth is at the lower end of the priority list, I'd like to know what is the anticipated timeline for getting to seek funding and addressing treatments for project area 8 benefiting the city of Plymouth, because it seems like it might be decades away. And I think that we have a more important and timely issue to deal with here, especially on the north and west parts of town. A regional approach was used to develop the CWPP. I'm familiar with countywide CWPPs, including individual annexes for each jurisdiction, which means the city of Plymouth would have its own annex and its own projects and strategies, et cetera. And having individual annexes allows easier updates to the plan over time, and it maintains individual jurisdictional eligibility for targeted disaster and mitigation funding through agencies such as FEMA. I'd like to know if an annex model was considered for this plan by the working group, and if it's going to be considered in the future. I also would like to know if the city is going to be allowed to submit projects for consideration to be added to the CWPP regardless of assigned project area priority. And I would assume that Mr. Birtwell would be able to answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, actually, I'd like to go to Mr. Birtwell, and I'd like to give him some leeway time-wise to explain those things if you could. What's that? No, he's doing public comment.
Hi. Yes, Todd Birtwell with Amador Fire Safe Council. I was the coordinator among the steering committee working group and our consultant spatial informatics group to develop this plan. Certainly many of those typos, I appreciate you or all the those who reviewed the plan to point those out, and if I understand, they'll be in the record of this meeting, and we can address those, including that of the city manager and for City of Plymouth versus Community of Plymouth. Just a little bit of background about the plan. The plan is really a broad sort of high level document. While it does list priority projects and it identifies modeled priority areas for treatment, they are not necessarily at a specific stage of planning, except for those listed within the priority project list. What is seen on the map is there are many things, of course, displayed on the map. But what I believe Ms. Marino was referring to is the results of the Vibrant Planet modeling simulations. And those are just that. They are simulations of where potentially dollars could be put to the most efficient use to reduce wildfire risk. However, the plan does not prioritize 1 through 10 or 100 any of those for actual seeking funding and planning and implementation. The CAL FIRE Amador El Dorado unit consensus areas, that is part of the Amador El Dorado unit plan and not directly a result of the CWPP process. So that was a different process that occurred directed by CAL FIRE, which I can't really answer questions about. I'm sure there are things that I was missing. If there are questions specifically about if anyone would like to hear more, please chime in.
Well, thank you. If you could, stay on that for a minute. One question I have for you, as I was saying, I just got this and I like a chance to read through, just, briefly going through it for about a half an hour today. We did find, some little things, little problems that, not big deals really, but would like to see cleaned up. And would there be any issue if we were to push this off, say, until our meeting July 9th and give the council members some time to actually read over this? And is there any issue with that?
Guess I may have to talk to the steering committee members. I do sort of apologize that, you know, the city, well, of course, city managers and city contacts have been at least aware of the process since we began really in September of last year. But it was sort of, since it's a countywide document, everything was oriented toward the official adoption by the county supervisors, which occurred in April. And later did it occur to us that within the city limit, the incorporated cities would not necessarily, their jurisdiction would not be covered by the city of WPP unless they also formally adopted it. So that is how it arrived at the city council at this time. We don't see a problem if you delayed it for another month. But also I would like to just remind everyone, this is not I mean, yes, it's going to be a published and official document, but there will be periodic updates to it. So any, you know, it's the result of a lot of review and collaboration over the past close to a year, but it's not perfect, and we will continue to be reviewing it through the Amador County, Amador County Wildfire Collaborators Group, which sort of is the extension almost of the working group for this plan. We don't have a defined timeline, but word has been thrown around that after 2 years, it would be a good timeline to provide another official update. So within that time frame, any other you know, concentrations or considerations that the city of Plymouth would like to propose to be adopted can be developed and then incorporated into the plan in the future.
Appreciate that. I've been aware of the plan, you know, being in the works and process. And I guess my thing is, it probably everything's fine. I just feel the council has an obligation to do due diligence and really read through and see it. And I don't know how the other members feel, but with me, I haven't even had a chance to read it. So I'm kind of don't feel like, you know, me personally comfortable, you know, voting on it now. And I'd say it wouldn't be a month. We are meeting on July 9th. We'd only be looking at like 2 more weeks, and we could instruct city manager to put it back on for a vote that night. So I don't know. Yeah. You have something to say?
I don't have a problem with postponing it, but I will also say that I thought that this report was very in-depth and thorough. Some of it was obviously over my head, as I'm not a firefighter, but a regular citizen. And if nothing else, I would have to have trust in the fact that these guys are the professionals and, you know, doing the real work. So thank you.
Thank you. So, point, I guess we close public comment on this, and we want to have council discussion on it. Wendy?
Whatever you want to do.
Deborah?
I've looked through it. I didn't study it in depth, but I'm kind of the opinion of Holger that not my strong suit, but it looked to be pretty complete.
Holger? No, you already spoke on it. So, yeah, my thing is it's probably fine. I just want a chance to read it, and that's all I'm saying. I would not comfortable. I don't think there's like a problem with it. I just haven't had a chance to read it. And so I don't
postpone it.
Okay. I would like to postpone it to July 9th. Make a motion to.
We'll bring it back to the next meeting for your consideration.
Okay.
And thank you, Todd.
Mayor
My
Nunn,
pleasure.
can we please take a 5-minute break?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
The council adjourn for 5 minutes here. Break for 5 minutes. And we're back. Item at 8:05. Item 7.4, discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2026-13 of the City Council of the City of Plymouth, authorizing continuing appropriations and expenditures on the basis of the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget for the fiscal year 2026-2027 until the adoption of the 2026-2027 budget. City manager's report, or staff report, excuse me. Are they back on?
I can take this one.
All right.
Go
There you go.
ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry about that. As city staff continues to prepare the budget for fiscal year 2026-2027, the city must ensure the continued efficient operations of the city. To that end, staff is requesting continuing appropriations and expenditures for fiscal year 2026-2027 on the basis of the 2025-2026 until the 2026-2027 budget can be adopted. The fiscal impact is unknown as monthly cost of operations do vary. But approval, our recommendation is approve resolution 2026 TAC 13, authorizing continuing appropriations and expenditures for fiscal year 2026-2027 on the basis of the 2025-2026 budget until the 26-27 budget can be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to public comment.
Rosemary Marino Moody, Plymouth. I just want to say, I saw the presentation online and I had talked to Cameron after the workshop about including in the packet, which they normally are supposed to do, but it hasn't been, it wasn't in last year's budget, a recap of each position, what salary they're making, and then how in dollar amounts and how it is appropriated to each department. That's normally in a city's budget, so it's easier for you guys to see exactly what you're paying at each level position. And rather than going through the whole budget and adding it up in each department to find out where that is and how it's being allocated. So rather than just the percentage of where it's being allocated, it's nice to have the amount so you guys know how much you're paying each of your person and how it's spread out throughout the budget. So I did ask him to include that last year when he was doing the budget, but he said, I'll make sure I do it next year, but I don't see it in there again. So I would appreciate just another reminder to Cameron, because I did talk to him after the workshop, that it would be helpful to you guys, but it'd also be helpful for the public to see where all those salaries are being allocated and the dollar amount.
Yeah, I think that last year, some of the council members have asked for that too. If Cameron wants to speak to that, welcome to.
Absolutely. I did notice that too when this first draft was put out. And so I have been working with our finance director to make sure that subsequent drafts and our final does show that. So I'm aware of it, and I'm working with Andy about it.
Thank you, Cameron. Stephanie Marino.
Yes, Stephanie Moreno, Plymouth resident, small business owner. So the California State Constitution, Article 11, Section 10A prohibits officers or employees from receiving additional compensation for services already rendered. In other words, the council cannot grant retroactive pay to employees. And this is confirmed by Attorney General Opinion 81-1102, if Andreas wants to look that up. What jurisdictions do to avoid a constitutional challenge is they'll adopt a resolution declaring that the salaries are indefinite in order to authorize retroactive salary and benefits at a later date. The reason this is important for you now is because you're not adopting the final budget until after the first of the year. If that final budget includes any COLA or any raises or reclassifications then that are effective July 1st, then you would be not meeting the constitutional test unless you adopt that resolution. What I'm suggesting is that you just add language into the existing resolution very easily that you're already adopting, stating that the salaries for the city are indefinite, and that the city council is intending to implement retroactive changes once the budget has been finalized. It's an easy fix to avoid a constitutional challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if the city manager or the city attorney wants to speak to that, they're welcome to. Otherwise, well, first I'm gonna close public comment, sorry, on that. And as I said, if anyone wants to add to that. And
I'm not aware of any COLAs being planned for July 1st. So I don't think this is an issue.
No, it's not an issue at all. We don't have any COLAs planned at this time, nor are we able to work them into the budget as we see it as right now, but we're trying.
okay, so there's unplanned, but is what she was saying that if we were doing them this year, we had to adopt it or what? Because that's a little confusing to me.
The way I understood the concern is if there were automatic COLAs that were to
Oh,
take effect
automatic
on July
COLAs.
1st.
Okay.
There's none taking effect automatically and there's none being granted by discretionary.
That is not what I said.
Then I apologize. I misunderstood what you were saying.
May I reiterate what I said?
Yeah, if you can, that would help.
Any retroactive increases or changes to salaries, whether they're COLA or promotions or reclassifications that are intended to be retroactive, need to have this clause in your resolution in order not to have a constitutional challenge. So for example, if you're intending on promoting your lead maintenance worker to a superintendent position in the new budget and you want to make that retroactive July 1st, it would require this clause in there. If you're planning on reclassifying someone or giving any COLAs, even if they happen in December, if the city manager asks for a compensation increase in September, retroactive to a previous date, you would be locked out of doing that unless you put this language in here. I don't know why there would be a resistance to just putting preventive language in there to make sure that it's okay. So, I just found out about this and I did it with my own agency and my district council concurred that it was required, just for the record. Thank you.
I think we'd be happy to put that language in there.
Yeah, if the city attorney wants to do that, I don't think we have a problem.
I'm fine with that. If Stephanie would like to put some suggested language in the comments, be happy to look at that.
Did you hear that, Stephanie? Oh, she's off there now. Okay. Well, we can let her know. Yeah.
Last one.
Is she still on?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm on. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you asked me to do.
If you have some suggested language you want to drop in the comments or email to me, Right. Happy to entertain that.
There's a resolution. I can send you the link to the resolution we adopted if you'd like to look at that. Do you need it right this second?
In
that what
order
you're
for us
saying?
to include it, yeah, we would need it now.
Okay, let me get it to you. There's no chat box here, so that's why, or at least I'm not seeing one, so. For good reason.
Would it be considered an amendment at that point then, Andreas?
But we're not amending the resolution. You're still entertaining the resolution, so we'll just
Got it.
make a motion subject to the new language once we have it.
Okay.
We'll have to wait on that because we can't close the public comment.
I just sent it to both Andreas and Cameron.
Hasn't come through yet, but I'm refreshing my email.
Andreas, I can see the clause she's talking about.
Okay, yeah, I actually just got the link as well. Cameron, do you have the capabilities to participate in the chat? Or are you
You want some?
listed as host, promoted to host? Just trying to figure out the best way to get the language up on the screen for everybody to take a look at. Sure. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
additional section towards the end of the resolution under the now therefore be it resolved. It would be, let's call it section 4. Salaries and benefits of all unrepresented management and other employees are declared indefinite for fiscal year 26-27, permitting the council to implement retroactive changes once the budget has been finalized.
Perfect. Okay, so I think we've all agreed that the city attorney agrees to add that onto the resolution. Do we have anybody else for public comment? No. Okay, at this time, I'm gonna close public comment and any council discussion. Wendy?
No.
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 I
Well,
have
guess we
one.
need a-
I have one thing.
Oh.
I just want to thank Stephanie for bringing that to our attention.
Yes, definitely. Appreciate that. So at this time, I guess I'm just looking for a motion. Yes.
I motion. I'm not gonna be able to say everything Andrea said.
How about you motion to approve the resolution subject to the addition that I had read into the record?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Cranford,
Oh, slick.
Hey,
Councilmember Dell,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hornish,
Aye.
Mayor Nunn.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. At this point, we were gonna go to item 8, the city manager's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have been prepping for 4th of July. Parade and fireworks is on track. We have our vendors, our entertainment. We did meet with the sheriff's office and AFPD over a safety plan. AFPD was kind enough to offer their drones to us to be flying over and looking for illegal fireworks, which we will address. We've asked the sheriff's office to have maximum enforcement when it comes to illegal fireworks. So we'll be putting out notices this week just to kind of remind everybody that there will be drones in the air and people will be cited and fireworks confiscated. We did rent out our third pop-up. So the entire pop-up plaza is currently being rented out. And so far it seems to be a success for everybody. And it's called Books with Grace, and it's a cool little bookshop. And then also we did receive our grand jury report, and we're reviewing it and working on preparing our response to the findings. Thank you.
Hey, Cameron,
Thank you.
is there a fine involved for illegal fireworks?
Yes, sir. I think it's north of $1,000.
I believe it's a felony in the state to have the illegal. I'm not positive about that. Actually, we can find out right now.
Good evening, Council. Ashley and I, Fire Prevention Officer for Amador Fire. The fine starts, Cameron was correct, it starts at $1,000 for the first offense. That would be for one firework. Jumps to $2,000 and so on, and can include jail time. The initial one with the $1,000 starts at a misdemeanor, and then escalates from there quite quickly. So we encourage everybody, it's not worth it. Don't do it. Stick
Yep.
with the safe and sane. Those are just as fun.
That's exactly what I was wondering.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Okay. So mayor and council member reports and council requests for future agenda items. Wendy.
Okay, a couple things. This is probably a little bit of a sore subject, but I'm gonna bring it up. somebody I was speaking with that I trust a lot, mentioned that the sewer trucks that we have been taking on are driving across the levee that's out there that is not designed to be a road. Does anyone know if that's accurate? Because this person was bringing up that that's very concerning because over time it could erode that levee, costing us in the hundreds of thousands to shore it back up. Does anyone have any information on that?
Cameron?
So, right, we've talked to the water board, we've gone over plans. Our current, wastewater operator, is comfortable with the plans, including the people that built the plant. The fees we are charging do take into consideration road maintenance and maintaining that road. But it's pretty sturdy. I mean, we've been driving our trucks on it for as long as the plant's been open. I mean, heavier trucks too, dump trucks and whatnot. So our staff is confident that the levies will be just fine.
Okay, well, I'm just on record for bringing the issue up.
Ma'am.
And then, I want to just thank everybody for coming, for making public comment and for participating and sharing their opinions on all of the things tonight. Truthfully, I wish we had more people that did, because it helps the council know what the community is thinking. So, I just wish more people would come. That would be awesome. And then, I wanted to also kind of address my job. So when I took on the city council position, I was not employed. I was working from home full-time as a small business owner and had a lot of flexibility. I then took on a position working part-time for a family advocacy agency. And recently, in the last few months, I was promoted and I'm now working more than full-time with that agency. I am in charge of their mobile crisis team. So I'm going to apologize in advance. Life has changed for me in the 2 years I've been, or almost 2 years now, that I've been on city council. And so me being on call is just going to be a regular event that happens for me at city council meetings. And I want to apologize in advance for that and ask for grace.
Definitely, and I think you need to apologize, but we'll definitely work with you on it. I'm kind of in a little bit of the same situation, not quite as bad, but I've actually, a couple of the meetings I've missed is that, the same thing. I took, this position or ran, for the council, and I had a different job. And shortly after getting on the council, I took a different job. So I didn't have Thursdays off all day anymore. And with the job I have now, we leave in the morning, you never really know what the day's going to bring. So there's been some times, it happened to me a couple weeks ago.
I have a solution for both of you.
Are you going to pay all our bills?
Pizza and donuts.
Okay, well, thank you. No, I think we all
Yeah, I
understand.
just wanted to make it known and understood, and there could even be evenings, council meetings where I end up very, very last minute not being able to come. And so, unfortunately, that's the name of the game.
That's life.
Yeah.
So yes.
I wanted to reiterate again the 4th of July parade that starts at 10 a.m. I want to say downtown. Correct? I'm looking at Robert. 10 a.m. Is there a ceremony at the Veterans Park again?
I believe there is. Cameron?
At Veterans Park, no, till we just see the Memorial Veterans Day there. So we'll be on, last year, I think we were opening the park. That's why we did it on 4th of July.
I'm really looking forward for Mayor Nunn to have a speech ready.
Yeah.
I also want to remind people that there is a booth set up off of 49, the TOT Safe and Sane Fireworks. So just steer that way. Thank you.
Deborah?
I have had a pretty quiet 2 weeks as far as city council is concerned.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, we will. Jamie was there. I'll allow Stephanie Marino to speak, and Jamie Lamiko, if you're watching, you come back on, I'll let you speak.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the issue that Wendy brought up about driving over the levee. And the response from the city manager, I don't think was adequate to mitigate that concern. Number one, the regional board doesn't assess the structural stability of the levee as far as the sewage haul. That had nothing to do with the plan that was submitted to the state. And so relying on the fact that they haven't said anything is not a sure thing. But secondly, if staff are confident, I would hope that that staff is his city engineer, because none of the ground staff, field staff have engineering degrees to determine that level. And now that it's been raised in a public meeting, you have potential liability if something were to happen by just discounting it. So I'd recommend that you have the city engineer evaluate that and report on it so that you know it's in the record that you're okay. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And
Hello. Hi.
hi.
This is Jamie LeBanco, District 5 Supervisor-elect. That was just fun to say for the first time ever. So I actually raised my hand so that I could comment on the 4th of July activities at Veterans Park, but Cameron had all that information dialed in for you, so I took my hand back down. But we will be giving Mayor Nunn an opportunity to give a speech in November when we have our Veterans Day celebration, so you are not off the hook.
Sure, my term's expired by then, Jamie.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Holger.
Everybody.
Yeah, December.
I'm council, so, but, well, thank you. I had just a couple of things to put on there. So I found out just like a day ago that we had an AFPA meeting today, and I was in a work meeting, not able to attend it. And I was talking with one of the fire chiefs here in the county, and I said, nobody's sending me anything on AFPA, even though I'm supposed to be our representative for the city. And he's saying he thinks that maybe back before the city manager we have now, I think is when we voted on that, he said he doesn't think anyone from the city has sent anything to AFPA letting him know that I'm the representative. And so he was asking me that we have the city manager do that, because apparently they're going to meet again in a month, and they were asking if I'd be there for that. So I'll have to have the city manager work on that situation. And were you saying something, Cameron?
I was just acknowledging that we'll get it taken care of for you, sir.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And one thing I wanted to say, as far as the 4th of July goes, talking with the city manager, he was telling me about the meeting that he'd had, and it sounds like there's an awful lot of people that are, volunteering their time and so forth to make this happen, between, city staff and the fire department. And, we have deputies that volunteered to work that night. And so I just want to say, this has become a really big event to people in town and in the surrounding area. And, a lot of people are giving up their 4th of July to be here and make this happen for everyone. So really appreciate the fire department, the sheriff's office, and city staff that are making this happen for everybody. I don't have anything to add for future items tonight because I think we need to get through the budget process. Then I'll hit you guys with a bunch of stuff. Okay. Yeah, that's what we got. So we have no closed session tonight. So at this time, oh, yeah, you want to talk, Rosemary? Come on up.
Rosemary Marino Moody, Plymouth. I just have a question. There's no closed session and you guys have been dealing with the Sutter home. So is that finalized? Is that something that's going to be brought out to the public, or, it's weird that it's not continued on in closed session.
Well, there's, I believe, just nothing for us to talk about about that right now since the last closed session, but I'll let the city manager speak to that if you'd like.
There is no new reports, and also the fact that I was not able to be present. We decided to postpone anything.
Thank you, Cameron. So nobody else wants to speak on anything at this time. I think we're gonna adjourn the meeting at what? At 8:30 PM. That's all right. Happens.